Attention Austin guitarist, are you in need of setup or repair on your axe? Well, I have the guy for you. That's my friend Jason Swedberg over at J. Scott Lutherie. You can find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook. Gang, I've been taking my guitars to Jason for over 20 years, and not only does he do the very best job, but he has the fastest service and the best prices in town. Find him at J. Scott Lutherie on Facebook or jason.swedberg@gmail.com. Gang, whether it's acoustic or electric, Jason is your guy. Get your guitars fixed. Hey gang, are you new to this podcast? Have you subscribed on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts and realized that you can only access the 20 most recent shows on these platforms? Do you, my friend, want to binge on How Did I Get Here? Well, check out our archives that are available on the Podbean app. If you follow us on the Podbean app, we have every single show ever released on that platform. You'll also get all of your favorite shows like Fresh Air, WTF with Mark Maron, ID10T, the Michelle Obama podcast. All podcasts available there, and you can also access over 1,000 How Did I Get Here episodes. So, download the Podbean app from your app store and start listening today. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are all having a good week, whatever you've done this week. I've been having a good week. Been learning a lot of songs for the Skyrocket live stream we're doing tonight. If you're listening to the show Friday, April 16th at 8 p.m. Central Time, the 70s and 80s cover band Skyrocket that I'm in will be playing a show tonight on our streaming it on Facebook and on YouTube and stuff. We do it from our drummer's living room. It always sounds really good. Looks good. There's a lot of us to get on that screen. There's 7 of us. But yeah, we've been working on a bunch of songs just specially for this show. And then actually tomorrow we're playing another public show. This is my 3rd public show this year. We're doing a fundraiser for a school or something. But that seems cool, you know. I'm excited to get out and do it. I've been vaccinated, got both shots. I'm feeling a little more confident about being out there in the world, less afraid. You know, that's a good thing. Hopefully you're feeling less afraid. Gang, I have a great show for you today. Nashville-based singer-songwriter Langhorne Slim is my guest on the show. Now, he's got a brand new album called Strawberry Mansion that came out in January on Dual Tone Records. It's fucking great, man. I suggest you get out there and check it out immediately. He's on all the streaming services. You can find him on the Bandcamp, the places where you buy the music. And hopefully he'll be getting out and doing some tours and stuff soon. He was a guy that was touring for a lot of years, and it all like shut down for him. We have a really, really great conversation. After a battle with clinical anxiety and prescription pill addiction, he didn't write a song for a whole year. And then back between March and May of 2020, he wrote songs every single day. That ended up being this record, Strawberry Mansion, which I said came out in January. You should check it out. It's fucking great. Now, I didn't know about Langhorne Slim, and my girlfriend was, sending me some bands. I was sending her some bands. And she sent me Langhorne's Spotify page. And I started checking out his songs, and I really loved them. Like listening to music on headphones, I really connected with what he was saying. And his lyrics are beautiful. And I went and I looked him up, and I read his story a bit, and I watched some videos, and I was like, man, this guy's really amazing. So I got him on the show. And we have a fantastic conversation. It is a very natural conversation. I believe that we became friends by the end of the conversation. I don't really know him. We did it over Zoom, so there's a couple of little glitches in there, but otherwise, it's a really fantastic conversation. He's an amazing artist, amazing songwriter, and really a fantastic guy to talk to. So, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with my new friend, Langhorne Slim. Let's get down.
Come and blow your house down. First a tornado, then a plane. Let us use our hands to help and hold. Let us utilize our mighty soul.
Where are you at? I'm in Austin.
Oh, I know that. Right. Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
I could hear you well.
I hate Zoom, man.
I feel you. I do Zoom a lot
Yeah.
because of AA and because of this record. But I've been on Zoom a lot, or else it would. The idea of doing a bunch of interviews on it would be very unappealing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before people would come to my house and we would, you hang out for a couple minutes and they get a sense of what's going on. Now you just pop on, you got your Kiss sticker over your shoulder. People think you're a moron.
That might be more in your own head.
Most of it is, right?
I would say a good majority of it is not just in yours, but in one's. Yes.
Right. Can I ask you a question about getting sober and being sober?
Yes, of course.
Going to those meetings, I know is like it's like a church for some. Does it change doing it on Zoom, or does it make it like easier now? You don't have to leave and go to a place and park and shit.
I've heard different things from different people. Some people have said that they probably never would have stepped foot in an in-person meeting, and then it makes it easier. I was just starting to regularly go to 12-step meetings before the pandemic. So for me, it was a learning curve, and it was just sort of out of desperation because it was a lot easier for me to, obviously you feel the energy of other human beings in a room. You could hear the laughter and the reactions. And that's the biggest drawback to me about Zoom and those meetings is that everybody's muted because we have to be, obviously. And one person talks and then another person talks.
Right.
So I think some is gained by it and some is lost by it. And it's just, it's made it a lot easier to do it on a regular basis, which is something that's really helped me a lot through the pandemic days, is to, push a couple buttons into the phone and be able to get connected. So I guess it's different for everybody, obviously.
Yeah. My friend, I have this really good friend that started a podcast about sobriety, and he's like, I think a couple of years sober, and he started it during the pandemic, and his thing was talking to these people about what a challenge it is, to have this go down, like the whole pandemic and the quarantine and the, you know what I mean? Like eventually you just start losing your mind.
Yeah. For me, again, it's so personal to everybody. It's so different for everybody. It felt in ways that the outside world was catching up with what my normal internal world is, which is, has been chaotic for a long time. And actually, like, the way I keep putting it, and I've heard many others, I know it's not unique to me, is like a forced slowing down and simplification. We all hate the reasons for it, but it was fucking profoundly beneficial for me.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of layers to it. For people in recovery, like, one of the top rules is like, don't isolate. And now everybody's sort of forced to isolate. There's a lot of components. Man, it's my second go at sobriety and my first time in a 12-step program. And, it's benefited me a lot to be off the road and to kind of confront some stuff that I think I have been, running from in one way or another. No matter if you deal with addiction or depression or anxiety or headaches or whatever the fuck you're thinking, this has certainly led us all to kind of maybe sort of take a look at where we all find our identity and kind of our self-worth, and do we want to do it in the same way that we did it before? And was that even really
what everybody's saying is normal. Shit was never normal.
Right.
As far as I could tell. I've been here for a little bit. I never thought anything was normal. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to slice it, but thank goodness for Zoom, because it at least allows this community to stay connected with each other, whereas I think a lot of people would have gone off the deep end without it.
Yeah. Do you co-write with people, or do you write with people?
I have, yeah. Mostly with my friend Kenny Siegel out in Catskill, New York. He's got a studio called Old Soul Studio. We've recorded a bunch of stuff there, and the co-writing process there is more like unfinished ideas and fragments of songs, or almost complete songs, but it needs something.
Right.
And I would collect those, here at home or wherever I am, and then bring them out there.
But you don't get together with somebody in an office there in Nashville and write a song for Kenny Chesney.
Oh, like the Nashville co-writing?
Yeah,
no,
okay.
I didn't even know that existed really until I moved to Nashville about 10 years ago. And it's cool. Like, I don't have any real feeling about it one way or the other. It's just never really, it's not something I've really looked into, and it's not something that's looked into me much.
Right.
I've co-wrote with some dear friends, but
right.
yeah, I don't do the thing that you're talking about, where you just kind of meet up with strangers and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's cool, but that shit's scary to me.
Yeah, it can be weird. And it can also be just terrible as well. There's a place here in Austin.
It could be terrible.
Yeah. There's a place here in Austin called House of Songs. And it's more of an organic thing. Like, they bring in people from other countries and they stay at this cool house. Like, it happens to be up the street from me. And they have like recording gear there and like pianos in all the bedrooms and stuff. And it's super cool and fun. Yeah. Can I?
I guess at least in my mind, it seems a bit sterile to go into like an office building or something like that. Yeah. However, as awkward or as terrible or as great as it might be, I mean, you're coming out, if you do come out with a song, you're coming out with a song in a way that you wouldn't have otherwise. So
right. That's what I like about it.
To it.
Yeah.
But no, I mainly just write around where you're finding me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, like, your music doesn't sound like you have some Desmond Child coming in and like straightening out your shit for you.
Yeah, nobody's offered to straighten out my shit for me in any way. Nobody's ever, in all the years I've done it, nobody's ever said, you should dress this way or make your record this way. So I don't know. That's I've thought about that throughout my career. Yeah, because I hear these stories, and it's like, no, I've been lucky in that way. Or unlucky. Who knows? Like, I could be huge if somebody would come just straighten me out already.
I had these managers one time when I had all these meetings with them that asked me if I would not play guitar when I did shows because I could connect better with people, and I was so offended that someone would even suggest anything for me to do. I didn't do well in those situations. Yeah, I mean, it's such a trust thing too, which I struggle with and have been working on a lot in this last year. If my manager today would make he wouldn't make a suggestion. Right, she wouldn't make a suggestion such as that, I don't think. But when they do creative ideas that they offer, I notice that I both really appreciate it and feel defensive right away. Right. And so I'm trying to check that a little bit too and be like, why do I feel defensive right away? I want the people. I mean, I've always had a small team, and now I've got a beautiful small team. I want them to bring me ideas, but the ego, and I find that with co-writing too, even with Kenny Siegel is one of my best friends, a brother to me, and a big personality, and he'll just be like, bro, go to this chord. And my initial thing is like, fuck off. Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah. At least my first thought, or like the emotional reaction is like, we're so protective over our thing that it's interesting. But yeah. Well, there's also, I think that some of us get into this because of like, it's all yours and it's your, you know what I mean? No one can take your intellectual thoughts or your thoughts away from you. and your creativity.
Well, I think it appealed to me so much. Like I got like so many artsy kids or whatever. I struggled in school, got into lots of trouble in school. Liked sports, still like sports, but didn't find any sport or team that I felt like I definitely felt like a weirdo on the sports teams, and through some help of the other boys felt like a weirdo as well. And then joined theater in school. I fucking loved theater, and I could sing a little bit, and I had some, stage presence. So as a kid in a little town, you get the bigger roles, and there wasn't that many boys participating. And I loved the performance of the plays, but I hated the rehearsals. Mm-hmm. I hated being directed.
Yeah. Memorizing lines.
And I still would struggle to a certain extent, depending what. Yeah, memorizing lines. I would go off script, and the crowd would like it most of the time. But I would drive the other kids crazy, the actors, the directors. And so when I learned to play guitar a little bit and started writing songs, I guess it felt, at least how my memory serves me, it sort of felt like I was just writing my own little play, and I could do it any way I wanted. And I could play it differently, and I could make shit up when I was in front of, didn't need to stick to a certain thing. Yeah. And they were my own rules.
Right.
But as I've grown older in it and have a band of very creative brothers, I've also tried to check myself with that and try to be open for collaboration and ideas, and never told the band like what part specific, unless there was like a very specific piano line that I had in my mind. It just goes back to trust, I think. It's like surround yourself with people that add to the thing and can see the thing to bring it to life more, I guess. And then it's and then interestingly, it's still difficult to take suggestions sometimes.
Yeah. Totally. Man, you have an incredible connection. I watched that live from Strawberry Mansion video that you did. And Matt and Paul, those are your band guys? You guys have a great...
On this record, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Will they continue to play with you if you start doing shows out now? Or whenever you start to do shows out?
Did you ask me if Paul and Matt will continue to play with me? Yeah. They, gosh, I hope so. If we ever go back on the road, and I think we will. Paul and I have played music together. We started, my very first band that started in New York, in Brooklyn, was with Paul DeFiglia and Malachi De Lorenzo, who still plays with me. Due to the pandemic and the kind of songs that this record was and just how we did it, it's the first record Malachi didn't play on. And it was Paul and Matt Davidson Twain, who has played on the last two records. And these guys do their own thing and play with a bunch of other people as well. But yeah, they weren't like hired hands for this. Like they're a part of my family.
Right. That's awesome. So this record's great. And you guys, I read that you had a difficult time writing songs, thought you might not be able to write songs again, and then wrote the whole record over the course of 3 months. Kind of the first 3 months of the COVID thing.
Yeah, I don't think I was actively... Yeah. I said that, and I bet that there's truth to it. I don't know if that I was actively thinking I would never write a song again, but I was in Los Angeles. I've been in Nashville now for almost 10 years. I went out there for about 8 months to finish another record, which is now on the shelf, and it will come out eventually. And to just kind of get... Well, why am I putting it like that? The real reason is I was already relapsing on prescription pills. I was already addicted to those pills. I felt like I was very unhappy. I didn't feel creative. I didn't feel connected. And I thought, like many have before, and I'm sorry to say probably many will after, that if I moved my location to sunny Los Angeles, I would get healthy. I would start doing yoga. I would drink expensive juices, which I did. I would meet the woman of my dreams, and I would finish this record. And I was putting, as I've done in the past, I was putting all of my my identity, my like self-worth, and my like my goals into not the pure shit. It seemed like the pure shit, and it always does to me, but it isn't, as it turns out. And so as it happens, when I got out there, I just brought my issues with me, and they only grew when I was there. More was sort of accessible to me to feed the all of the arms of what at that time was very active addiction. And so I did a lot of creative work to work on this other record, which is called Lost at Last Volume 2, to the great frustration and dismay of Malachi, my dear brother who lives out there, and the other people that are involved closely with that record, because I just wouldn't let it be done. And I kept working on it, which is something I've never really done on a record, which is re-singing shit over and over again. And it was just the emotional, mental space that I was in. So I think even if I don't know, it's hard to say, but usually if I'm in that zone of continuing to work on a record or working on a record, I'm not writing a lot of new songs usually during that time anyway.
Right.
But it was that prolonged, beating my head against the wall, trying to finish something and it not happening, and the prescription pills and a bunch of other stuff. So when I got home, I got clean again. Started to recognize myself again. And then we had the tornado and the pandemic. And I think that there was a combination of all of the chaos and the wildness of the political situation, social situation,
right.
Tornadoes, pandemic, that was happening like right as I was being still and starting to take care of myself. That something, I still think of this stuff as very kind of spirity. So I don't know how creativity works, but I felt like I was putting myself in a position to receive it, and it happened to arrive, and very quickly.
That's amazing.
So I'm just, yes,
There's
deeply grateful for it.
There's shit on this record, like I think The Mansion is my favorite, but the whole like the death of introspection, like that verse, just the whole thing just fucking kills me. I kept on listening to it over and over again. You had a
Thanks,
lot to
man.
say, like you came out of that thing like a fucking shotgun.
Well, I think that maybe there's that book, Letters to a Young Poet. I used to read through that a lot. And I don't know that I got this right, but there's this part in one of the letters where I think he's talking about the idea of, work with me here, like writer's block. And I really like how I take what he puts, which is that essentially you're never really blocked. That at least, again, the way I take it, if one is always looking for the tangible end result, the finished cake, the finished song, it could seem like you're blocked, but that you're really picking things up along the way, and it's it's building until something breaks open or comes whatever, or you work on it to death, and there it is. And I think that might be the case, in that I was so kind of numb and trapping a lot of energy, and that when I was able to pivot and make some other like kind of dance moves in my life, that a kind of a wave came through, and there was a lot of energy and emotion came out. And so it's just, I don't know how it works, where you just can't get anything for a year and a half, and you're driving yourself crazy and literally feeling like you're killing yourself.
But like Rilke said,
a lot can change in a little bit of time. That's all.
Right. But like Rilke said, like trying to do the whole thing at once is counterintuitive to being productive in that way, which one day at a time applies to, right? Almost everything, one step at a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What a fucking
And
genius, that
Buddhist
guy.
stuff, and all of the. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just something that I think a lot of people have experience with. It's always wanting that tangible thing, and for it to be great. You know, you don't want the tangible thing to be mediocre, or God forbid it should be bad. And that was another thing that happened where, because I wasn't writing with it in mind that a lot of songs were going to be coming, it just was happening. I wasn't writing thinking I was working toward a record even. I was keeping it pretty much, I mean, I was posting songs, but I wasn't talking to my bandmates or management or record label about putting it into a tangible place. And in that, I think the inner critic was able to subside a bit. When it would come up and I'd be like, man, maybe this is shit. Maybe this is stupid. Is this good enough? I was able to kind of remind myself, like, good enough for what? I'm sitting in my house with my cat, and I had a friend here at the time. She seemed to like most of the songs. Was good enough for that. And so to just almost like childlike again, just to play for the love of, for the need and for the love of creating songs. I think it was able to keep coming because it's so easy to get in our own way creatively. I think most of us can relate to that. And I also think that's why I drank and used drugs a lot, was to my mind is busy. And I just want to not, just quiet my mind and soften up my heart, if you will.
Yeah.
And but in doing it the way I was doing it, drugs and alcohol, you betray yourself in your own creativity because I wind up becoming a slave to it and blocking it. So the thing that you go to try to make you the most sane sometimes drives you the most mad.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Strange. Hey, can I ask you a question? Do you know this guy Billy Harvey who lives there?
I'm not sure if I do.
Okay, he's this friend of mine that lives there, and you seem like you guys would know each other and be friends. There's
cool.
those pockets.
Billy Harvey?
Yeah, there's those like where in Nashville do you live? Like in East Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean that just seems like the cool. Like everyone I know that's cool lives there.
It's the hip part of town for sure.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for him. I don't think we've crossed paths. He's
a great musician, a great producer, and a fucking amazing songwriter, and literally one of the funniest people I've ever known in my life.
Cool.
So yeah. So
I'd love to.
Yeah. Well, but maybe I'll tell him to check you out because I think you guys would like each other's music too.
Cool.
I was going to ask you. So you wrote these songs, and then when you recorded, were you guys able to record together when you recorded Strawberry Mansion?
Oh yeah.
You have to do what you do live, right?
Was another part. It never occurred to me to do it differently. I mean, I've sent stuff off for people to play a horn on something, or sorry, I got another call. But no, this record was all live. And also it fit the flow of sort of how the songs arrived, was to just keep it simple. And because there were so little options, it was very easy to, well, actually a dear friend of mine suggested, it was like, your boy Paul's got a studio in his backyard. Paul built this little awesome studio right down the street, up the street, over whatever. And called Paul, and he was down. Called Matt, Twain was in Austin. He was down, sent them just little demos of the songs, and we did it in about 10 days. So it was beautiful in that, like, because I play with the same people for so many years, and because I'm neurotic and a sensitive boy, and I hope a loyal boy, I was confused and concerned about not having all of the guys that I play with play on these songs. And it just wasn't possible to fly people to one studio. So it was just like, it was a forced simplification. And I think a reaction to the experience that I was coming out of, and now being sober and with these songs and with these friends, was to just fucking rehearse the songs a few times, hit record, and just get it as live and raw and real as we could, and move on.
Right. How many takes would you do? Was it pretty?
I think that their 3 takes was probably the max.
Yeah.
And on quite a few, 1 or 2.
Yeah. You know, it's great to hear. I mean, there's obviously a lot more organic music being made out there and stuff. And I know in the last, I made an EP a few years ago, and sort of the whole mindset was that we're going to take the track from the floor, you know, everyone playing together. And that's the sort of thing that attracts me, and I assume you as well, to music and recordings, is the capturing of magic as opposed to like trying to carve out perfection. You know what I mean? Which you can in this day and age like crazy. There's something about those records like that. There's something about even the sound of like Strawberry Mansion, the song, since it's instrumental, it has, you can hear the communication almost between you guys in the moment. Do you hear that shit on there?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that's the case. You know, there's great stuff with the digital. I'm not completely a purist, right. But at the same time, when I think about it, which I have a lot over the years, all of my favorite music that I listen to is recorded live on the floor.
Yeah.
There's, you know, many have said it before, but of course, like the mistakes are often
the magic,
what are so relatable, the kind of the magic. Yeah. What really brings us in. So, and with the kind of music that I've always written, I think it's just more suited for that. And just to try to keep it as, you know, on the flip side of that, then people come to the shows, and I know lots of bands get this. People are just like, oh, the live show is so much better than the record. And you're like, yep, thank you. But you know, it's a different beast.
That's what I've always thought too. I've like, whatever you put into a record, you can still do a live version of that without having to replicate exactly. Which is weird, because obviously you're not going to go out there and have stems of your tracks playing, you know what I mean, and have like maracas and tambourines come in the chorus from, like, you know, people use like Ableton or something live to do that.
Yeah, and that's all fine. But with what I do and what we've always done is, I think it's why the band has stayed. It's part of the reason the band has stayed together, and that it's fun more times than not, is that it can change night to night, and we enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I listen to the record as we're recording it, and while it's being mixed, then I listen to it a little bit after to see how it makes me feel, and then I don't listen to it.
Right.
So unless I hear it somewhere and I'm like, holy shit, that's what that sounds like. Either good or like, oh God, you know, terribly embarrassed. But yeah, it's never been a goal to try to achieve the same kind of sound as what we did on the record.
Right. Right. So
live, that is.
Where you're from, New York? That's where you were born?
Lost you for a sec.
Oh. It says my connection's unstable.
I got.
You were born in New York?
Pennsylvania.
Okay. And that's where...
Langhorne, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were born in your own namesake. And that's where the Strawberry Mansion...
Yeah, when I left, they my name.
Okay. When that's where the actual Strawberry Mansion is. Right?
The Strawberry Mansion is north of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I'm from a little town, a suburb of Philly.
Okay. I don't think I've ever been there. I know
I'm a suburban boy.
You are a suburban boy? Where did you find music? Like, how did you connect with music?
It just hit me from a very early age. I loved it. from as far back as I can remember. I learned to play guitar from a Nirvana song. My cousin was in a punk band in New Jersey that I loved, and I used to go and watch them play in the basement and then play shows in these little like Irish bars down the Jersey Shore. And yeah, he taught me poly, and then I was just kind of off to the races. But my grandparents would take us they loved musicals and like swing jazz and the old crooners, Sinatra, Tony Bennett, all that. And I still love all that stuff. My mom was a big Streisand fan. Respect to Streisand, never was totally my cup of tea. And then my parents were split. My dad would pick my brother and I up on Sundays, most Sundays, and he was a big classic rock fan. So from an early age, I was getting like a somewhat diverse array of music, and those around me that were into those kinds of music were very into it.
Right.
And yeah, I got into, I don't know how I got into like early blues and folk and country and all that, but I did. And then I discovered like the Smithsonian, Harry Smith's folk anthology. And that was big. I had a teacher who gave me a bunch of like Alan Lomax, VHS, these like field recordings. Yeah. And all that stuff blew my mind. And it all, a neighbor had, I'm actually wearing this Salad Day shirt, had Minor Threat live at the old, what's the place in DC?
930 Club.
God, I can't think of the
930 Club?
930 Club, yeah. Thank you. And all of that kind of music to me was punk rock. Like it all was just very raw. Daniel Johnston. It was all just very like raw and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think some of those like early blues guys appealed to me so much because in my little suburban town, I didn't have a band and didn't really know anybody to form a band with. So out of just like survival instinct or something, I think I latched onto guys and girls who were just making a big noise, one person on a guitar or piano or something and singing. So I don't know, but it always appealed to me a lot.
There's some people, and it affected me so much that I haven't done it yet, but I have this friend, Jonas Wilson, who's this amazing like engineer and multi-instrumentalist. And we're going to go with a 4-track reel-to-reel to the room. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the hotel, but one of the rooms, Robert Johnson recordings. One of them was done in San Antonio in this hotel in a room. That's where Alan Lomax recorded them. Yeah. And so we were going to go rent that room for a weekend and try and make a record like that in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
I know somebody that's been trying to make a film on the room for a long time.
Oh, really? Is your friend in Nashville or are they in Austin or Texas?
San Antonio.
Oh, really?
San Antonio.
Wow.
The family member. Yeah. But I think there's been some snags along the way, but yeah.
Yeah. They're kind of weird about it when you start asking them at that hotel. Because I play in this band that does like weddings and shit sometimes, and we've done some events there, and somebody there was the one like, oh, you know this room? And I was like, you're shitting me. So anyway, normally how many days a year do you tour normally?
For a long time, it was as much as we possibly could. I would say 8-9 months out of the year. I guess it's not as much as you possibly could. You could do the other months too.
Right.
But yeah, about 8-9 months out of the year. And then a few years back, I decided to attempt more quality over quantity. And leading into the pandemic, I don't know, because the way we used to do it was months on end, and now we would do sort of 10 days, 2-week tours. So it wasn't as frequent as it was for a long time leading into this.
Have you done like a lot of tours, like opening, like an entire tour opening for an artist, as opposed to just like one-offs or 2 or 3 or whatever? Who all have you gone out on tour with opening for?
Oh gosh,
you have to name them all.
In the very beginning, yeah, there's a lot. In the very beginning, there was a group called the Trachtenberg Family Slideshow Players. When I was playing at an open mic in the East Village in New York, they took me on my first tours. We've toured a bunch with the Avett Brothers. We got to do some shows with the Violent Femmes years ago.
That sounds fun.
The Lumineers. We've done shows with Lutherie. Was an early tour we did. There's a bunch.
It's funny that I started going. I heard of you from my girlfriend. She played me your stuff for the first time, and she
Smart
also
lady.
played me. Yeah, smart lady, and also Lucero as well. So that's weird.
Oh, cool.
Double your fun.
Yeah, we've known them for years. They took us on one of our first tours. They're great guys.
Isn't there something like remarkably like built to spill feeling about them? I'm not off on that, am I?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. You know,
No, I could see that.
yeah. I was gonna ask you this. I've talked. You know this guy Frank Turner, this British dude, singer-songwriter guy.
Mm-hmm.
He comes.
I know of him.
He comes from punk rock as well, and I find it really interesting how the solo acoustic guy with a mountain of energy and like the punk band fit together so well. And they seem to be a makeup of a certain kind of
I think
folk
that they
artist.
have always fit together so well.
Why is that,
I
you
agree.
think?
I think it's all folk or all punk when it's done. Because it's very honest and raw shit. I think it's coming from the same place. At least it makes me, when I hear some like old blues, when I listen to Wu-Tang Clan, when I listen to Woody Guthrie, whatever it could be, it obviously sounds very different, but it
Has the same
awakens
ethos?
some kind of ancient feeling. I think so.
Yeah.
I think it does. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because I don't come from either, but they've been around me a lot. And it wasn't until really talking to Frank where I made that connection that it was like, oh, there's like a certain kind of dude that plays an acoustic guitar most of the time, like by himself or with a minimal kind of band that came from that scene, that punk scene.
But you see, I come from it exactly either. Like I never, nothing wrong with going all into any one scene, but I always was just like a music lover. So I love punk rock, but I also love R&B. I love hip hop music. I just love whatever I dig. And I think I've pulled different, like, been inspired by a lot of different types of music, and it's seeped into my own. But I didn't like start like a lot of guys. Like I didn't start in like a punk band and then get my acoustic guitar,
Right.
Which is something that I've seen happen. You know, yeah. I don't know. It's been the same band for all these years,
That's pretty amazing.
and hopefully I've changed a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't listen to all of your stuff all the way through, but I skimmed through the previous albums and listened to songs. And there's a couple songs that this song, Past Lives. This song's fucking great, and I saw that on some live thing you did. And then it was funny because I saw that right after I
Thanks,
read this
man.
stuff about you having anxiety and your performance in that thing where you're just like so calm and you just fucking sit on the edge of the stage. I'm like, did anxiety come after that, or was that just you can fake the shit out of it?
No, it's not faking it. It's something else happens when you're performing and you're singing, you know, and you're in that environment. That's the magic stuff. It's leading up to it. It's after it. And it's not living or dying for that performance. You know, the performance is very important to me, but I thought years ago it was the only thing that was important. I wanted to make sure if there was 3 people in the crowd, if there was 1,000 people, that it was the best shit that they'd ever seen. Which is, you know, maybe there's something to that, but I've learned for myself, at least, it can't be where I'm looking entirely for myself. But when I'm on stage, that's the calmest that I feel. That's like the most sort of at ease that I am.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of crazy motherfuckers like us out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier for me to be in control of a room with 1,000 people than to be a member of a room of 10 people to try and work my way through.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that.
There's something about that sort of thing because you're in control. And sometimes that pressure alleviates everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yes. But are you in control? Because it's interesting what I'm able to. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's controlled. I also feel like I have more grace. I'm more open. I have that sometimes in my regular life, and I'm seeking it more. But I feel like I'm actually, there's control, yes, but it's also, I'm able to roll more. I'm able to dance more, like literally and figuratively. I could roll with the punches because it doesn't go the way that I think or hope it's going to go every time.
Right.
You know, somebody says some shit in the crowd or forgets it. And, yeah, it's getting into, when it's working, it's getting into like a higher self, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, on a different subject, what the album that you shelved when you were in California? You said that'll come out someday. What?
Yeah.
Outside of being like an overlabored thing, have you ever heard about like the way U2 makes records?
Not really.
It seems like the most, when you were describing and you keep on going back and you keep on cutting stuff and you know what I mean? Like they're writing shit until it gets mastered or something. And adding shit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Whatever works, I guess. It'll come out, and I don't know that it will sound over labored when it does, because when I got into this zone, it's a lot of redoing, putting this,
okay,
and then taking away.
Right.
Away.
Yeah.
Which has always been my process to some extent, is to put it all down and then take the parts that create space where it's calling for space. But yeah, it'll definitely come out. I mean, I've listened to it recently and I'm like, shit that I was not feeling, I'm now feeling. So I'm just in a much different frame of mind. I could say that with confidence.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's good. You seem very healthy and very present, and I was hoping you'd be like that. So
thank you.
Yeah, man. Well,
it would have been a different interview would have happened a year and change ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might have been great, but it would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a lot better. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You seem like you're feeling good. And I like your hat.
Thank
Sounds
you, brother.
Weird, but I like pink smiley faces.
Pink is my favorite.
There's no tour dates on your calendar. Is there talk of anything coming up or?
I'm ready to hear about it as soon as it's available to me. I brought it up to. I see friends are going back out on tour, but I think that they might be tours that kept getting pushed,
mm-hmm.
and they're first in line for the tours. Man, I just haven't felt like I'm in a big rush to do it, which is a little surprising to me. I haven't been this still in one place since I'm a little kid.
None of us have.
And I know it. And it's challenging, but it's revealed a lot. And I feel like there's an adventure for me here, which is exciting and scary at the same time. That said, there's a mental health group that I'm friends with and love the work that they do and have used. And they're doing this this big virtual concert, and I went to this venue here yesterday morning to play a couple songs for that, film it for this thing. And as soon as I walked into the venue, I was like, fuck, man, I'm home.
I know.
And I missed it terribly. So I think as soon as I get back into it, I'll realize maybe how much I have missed it. But at the same time, like so many people, I'm going to try to just stay true to how I feel. Like I don't have to do it the same way that I did it before. And I don't know that I should. There's something really intriguing to me of continuing to connect deeper with home, with my neighbors, with my community.
Have a
that
life.
Sounds like a beautiful next chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a life.
Yeah.
It'll be a different life. But yeah. I mean, I've, all of the running and the touring and it all, it's brought me so much beauty, and I'm so grateful for it. So many awesome adventures. I never did slow down to see what was happening. I've struggled being present, to put it clearly. And so that's what I'm working on over here, trying to be cool with wherever I find myself sitting. Easier said than done, brother.
Yeah,
Easier
definitely.
said than done.
Definitely. Well, man, it has been really great talking to you, and hopefully I'll get to meet you someday in person. Where do you play when you come to Austin? Do you play here often when you're playing?
Yeah, we played so many venues there. We played Emo's, Mohawk. There's like an upstairs place that's really nice. I can't remember the name of it. We played a bunch of the spots there over the years.
Yeah, well, cool. I live down the street from Emo's. So, anyway, I hope I do get to see you sometime soon, and you should meet my friend Billy Harvey.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Yeah, I definitely will, man.
I would like to.
This record, Strawberry Mansion, is available now to everyone. Oh yeah, as soon as we stop the recording, we can talk for a second.
Yeah, we're not excluding anybody. It's available to everybody.
Oh, your phone number is?
No. Yeah, well, my phone number too. But you said the record's available for everybody.
Yes.
So to be clear, not excluding anybody.
Yeah, there's nobody that you don't want to buy your record or listen to your record.
Not that I could think. I mean, I can think of probably a few, but yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, no.
My dad, maybe.
Music for the people.
Music for the people. Well, thanks for doing the show, man.
I don't know. Dude, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us use our hands to help and hold. Let us utilize our mighty soul. You might be worried about the government.
Langhorne Slim, his album Strawberry Mansion on Dual Tone Records is available now wherever it is you stream and download your jams. Go to langhorneslimmusic.com for all of your Langhorne Slim needs. He's got some great shirts. In fact, my girlfriend got one of his shirts that says "Sex Smells." Hilarious. What a great conversation, man. We ended up exchanging numbers, and hopefully we'll stay in touch, and maybe you'll hear us have an actual live conversation. Maybe I'll get to go see him live. He's fucking great, man. I love that dude. Langhorne Slim. Go find him at langhorneslimmusic.com. And don't forget, gang, when you're checking out langhorneslimmusic.com, you can find this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts. Anywhere they have podcasts, you'll get new shows every Tuesday and every Friday. Also, if you want to go back and check out our over 1,000 episodes, you can download the Podbean app, which is, you can find it at podbean.com or Podbean in your app store. Download that and you'll have access to not only all the shows that you normally listen to, but you'll have access to every single episode of How Did I Get Here? That's right. So if you're new to the show and you want to get in there and catch up, go listen to some classic combos, go dig through it, man. Get the Podbean app. All right? Strawberry Mansion is the record by Langhorne Slim. Get out there and check it out. I want to thank Langhorne for doing the show and his publicist Connor for setting it up. What a nice person. Great talking to this dude. I hope you guys have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing this weekend. And hey, gang, don't forget, if you're listening this the day that it comes out, Friday, April 16th, Skyrocket, the 80s, 70s, and 80s cover band that I'm in, will be doing a show tonight on Facebook. Look up Skyrocket the band on Facebook or on YouTube, and you'll find it. 8 p.m. Central Time. All right? Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
Mighty soul. Soon we'll all know that we don't know nothing. It's a new world to behold. A golden hour to stand for something. To find the power in your mighty soul. Come and blow your house down. First a tornado, then a plague. Let us use our hands to help and hold. Let us pour love unto the mighty soul.